You know what it is. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Get established. Let's go.
This is the Get Established Show Live, where we're all about awareness and support of our community, building within and beyond it. My name is Shine, and I'm here with my brothers, Chilla, D. Jones. Please like, share, and subscribe, and smash that like button for our upcoming shows. A link will be provided in the chat so you can join in the conversation, or if you choose, comment in the chat. All right? Move. All right. Of course, our disclaimer. The individual opinions expressed on here do not reflect the show as a whole. And our goal of joining in and supporting our community. So with that said, as always, D. Jones.
What it is, fam. What's going
Yo.
on, man? How y'all weekend hit?
All right, man. You know my weekend, man. I was up there in Baltimore, Maryland, man,
Be more.
celebrating my aunt's 90th birthday. So you know that's what we jumping, man.
Hey, it's crazy, man. I know you. We got on video chat on yesterday, man. Episode look good, man.
Yeah, 90 years old, still driving.
90
still
years old, man.
functioning
Still in her
straight,
right mind.
shop mind, everything. Driving all around D.C. and Baltimore, doing everything going on at 90 years old. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Shit, I mean,
Yeah,
you know, it's a
Trying to
blessing, man.
Get them like that either. At that age.
Yeah, yeah, it's a blessing. What's going on with you, Sean? What you do? What you do for it?
I just had a relaxing weekend, man. You know, not much to tell. But I know you had a lot of adventure in Vegas, Viva Las
Yeah, man.
Vegas.
Yeah, I do this bowling tournament on a national and a southern eastern southern level twice a year. I do the nationals in May, and I do the SRT Southern Regional Tournament in November. The beautiful thing is this is a black organization that puts this together, and I've talked about this before on the show. It's beautiful because they say we can't get along, but at the same time, man, it was probably about a little over 2,000 of us in Las Vegas this weekend, and everybody got along, man. It's a beautiful thing to be in one bowling center with over 400 bowlers in the same center, and 95% of us are black people, and we're getting along. It's a beautiful thing. So don't believe the hype. We can get along, and we can come together to do things. It's just what we choose to do together. That's all it is, man. On the real, what we choose to do together. With saying that, let's jump right into it. Too grown too soon. A situation where a child takes on more responsibility or behaves in a way that is more characteristic of an adult than is appropriate for their age. That's a lot to be said. So let's jump right into it. What factors contribute to children appearing or feeling grown up before their age?
I mean, that's an interesting question. What factors? I'm looking at the situation of what they are exposed to in this time and day. Like I said, when we was young, there, me and you was exposed to the old style satellite. You know what I'm saying? That, when Dad went home, we could look at some things we ain't supposed to be looking at. And, it was funny. We would always get caught because we always had to move the satellite from one direction to the next direction. We talking one of them gigantic big satellites back in the day. And then every time you pull in the driveway and we tried to
He'll see it
turn,
moving.
yeah, it was moving. So he said, I know what y'all are watching. I know what y'all. So it's like we got caught trying to watch stuff we ain't supposed to be watching. But it's like the things these kids are the fact of the day, man. Is they can watch a lot of things and pick up very quick habits, man, by just watching YouTube, internet, Facebook, and it's a lot of stuff that's not being filtered and censored for them. And some of the things they may be exposed of, they are mimicking and doing. And, some things me personally, I feel like some things they're doing are very inappropriate for a child, especially 3, 4, 5, 6 at them ages, mimicking and doing. So it's like we in a day and time that some kids, some people, they that's cute, them doing it. And me, I look at it, when we was young, if a young lady had did something out of character, old people would tell us, boom, pop you in, sit your little fast tail down. Or if you was a young man doing something out of character, pop you, boom, sit your little fresh tail down. So we couldn't do adult situations. We had to, you know, monitor what we do, and people will put us in check. Today, people don't check. The village are not like the village. Everybody says a different time and different age, but I feel like some of the things we're letting happen. Somebody should speak on it. Somebody should, how it's a time and a place, and as well as an age for people to do certain things. And some things they're doing shouldn't be done right now.
I'm gonna say this. One of the factors are how the type of household you being raised in. Because there's some families, and I say myself included, that it used to be party central at the house. And you got kids that are that are young kids. Between teenager and adolescent is. I remember there were sometimes where you be in the house and pops had family over, and they drinking and carrying on cussing and stuff like that. So regardless of whether you in the room or not, if they're loud enough and they create that much ruckus in the house, you're gonna hear that, and you pick up on that type of stuff there. So that's just one of the factors. And then just your 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 environment that you exposed to, wherever you going, as a young person, if you going around, and you run across, you know, uh, bum Willie on the corner talking about some can I get some change for just let me get some change for a drink or something like that. And then he, if somebody say no, I ain't getting you nothing, he cussing out the dude that didn't want to look out for him. Just being all crazy, how he dressed and how he presents and himself to whoever come across him. So those are factors as well.
I got you. I hear everything you're saying, Sean. I think we have been desensitized based on what we have available at our fingertips at this point. Um, I'll say this: a lot of things would take place, like you say, parties. We got excuse me, y'all. We got a little difficulty going on
Yeah,
right
we
now.
got some
I
difficulty going
think
on.
our producer needs to mute. Uh,
Yeah, we do got some difficulty
yeah,
going on.
yeah, the producer forgot to mute. It's all good. But anyway, what
We
I
up
was
here
saying,
anyway, so
yeah, it's cool. What I was saying though, like Raymond said, I grew up in a household that had parties too, and we were privy to hear a lot of the conversations from our room if they talked loud enough. But this is the difference. I knew I wasn't allowed to repeat or do the things that I heard and saw as a child without repercussions. There will be repercussions on certain behaviors I picked up from adults. And first of all, I shouldn't even have been listening or looking to see these things happen. And if I came out my room, and I said this on last week's show, the conversation would stop and I would be redirected to leave the room because adults were talking. I think now there's a lot of things going on that we haven't really addressed on shows of recent. You got parents that are younger, you got grandparents that are younger, and you know these parents and these grandparents are still trying to live their lives as far as out in these streets being outside. That's the terminology that we use. We outside and raise kids at the same time. And I'm not saying that can't be done, but you have to be aware, like we said on last week's show, that kids, especially young kids, are like sponges. They're taking in and they're learning and they're constantly learning. Now, also, the things that are available to them. And I'm not saying this could be a good thing or a bad thing. With the technology, a lot of kids are watching a lot of stuff on YouTube, and we talked about that last week also. So, you factor in all these things happening, and what it creates an environment where kids are seeing things that kids of our age didn't see. So they're growing up a lot faster, and a lot of things are happening. They're acting a lot growner because these things are happening. Um, and we have to, in my opinion, we have to realize that we want kids to actually enjoy their childhood and not be so invested in grown up things. And that's my opinion about it. I'm gonna go ahead and jump into number two. How do we define grown up too soon?
Mm. I mean, I think that's hard, man, because there's a lot of things we do that I did a lot of grown stuff that I shouldn't did because I was like, even like Rose said last week, out of curiosity. Uh, but I was a little older than some of the situations we talking about. I mean, we looking at a situation right now that's going on, and the thing is, some people know, some people don't. I don't even want to call the child name out, but we'll just leave it at Shirley right now. She is a hot topic with this young lady, and she's just what 4, and the thing is, it's a dance she's doing, and some people like it's cool, some people like no, and I the move she made to me is too adultish for her to be doing. And um, I'm looking at the scenario because I don't listen to a lot of people with their reviews, and somebody even called, the child protective services on the mom. The mom got up there and said what she had to say, and is it right or wrong? I didn't like what the child was doing myself, because I'm looking at, and some people like grown mans was just ravagely. They didn't know these mans grabbing, holding this child like this and holding tight to the child and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, and somebody made a valid point. What grown man tear up looking at a child doing a dance like that? Boots on the ground type thing and all this stuff and popping a hip and all this and they yeah mama and all that old stuff. It's like I'm like, what's next? A child on a strip pole, a little girl, 4 years old, going down a strip pole, popping and stuff. Y'all gonna encourage that too? I mean, everything, and people, oh, they ain't gonna go. No, I don't know how far it's gonna go. We in the society we at, man, it's a lot of stuff that's going on that I feel like shouldn't be going on, and the ages are getting very young with the things that's going on, and it's like to me, if you ain't feel a certain way watching this and you don't feel uncomfortable, like just looking at what's going on, then I'm pretty sure in the next 5, 10, 50 years, a 4-year-old on a stripper pole would be cool to most people. Because some people, like I said, we had adults that stood up and stopped stuff right then and there. Today, we walk in silence and then scared to say something. To me, I feel like I said, I feel like the dance that young lady's doing, to me, is very inappropriate for her age. Some people look at it cool. I'm just saying, how far will this go? In my mind, it's 2025. I'm like, anything goes in the next couple of years, and people gonna stand by and endorse it. It's a few of them that got feel like we need to stay. We gotta tell chill with that, man. Chill with that, and people will exploit their maybe their child for whatever, for views, for fame, whatever. And I'm like, that ain't cool. It ain't cool. That's just my opinion and my view.
All right, I'm gonna go to the comments of Aletha, if I pronounced her name right. If I didn't, forgive me. She said, "I remember the time when little girls were forbidden to sit on men's laps. Now they run up to me and ask for dollars at the age of 2. Wow, age of 2. Mm.
Man, but look, even right there, it's a video of the same child playing Johnny Gill's song. Put on your red dress and rubbing on her chest and doing all high heels and putting on lipstick. And I'm like, wow, 4 years old. And people liking this. They liking this. In my mind, stripper pole next. And the same
So,
dudes, I'm liking this. They're gonna be like that.
so
And I'm like, when is enough is enough. And if you scared to speak up, you're scared to speak up. But some people gotta call it out for what they see. I'm like, wow, too young, too soon.
I mean, we're over
so
sexualized.
this sounds all too familiar. Go ahead, Sean.
Now, I was just gonna say
What were you saying?
it's a over sexualized, you know, you know, time that we're in, where it's more so they're focused on just the act of doing it than the actual romantic or love building between two people. It's just, all right, well, hey, we just trying to get out here and start getting the smashing and doing whatever. So that's why all this kind of whatever lewd stuff just out here is, there's just no love no more, no real love, like if you would say in that sense.
Well, I want to revisit some things that Chris said, and it actually made me think about something. You know, a lot of people, I'm not even going to say women, a lot of people frown on women that are strippers, right? And I know of recent, I want to say the last 5 to 6 years, there's been this push on a dance called twerking. It's really confusing to me because still nowadays, if a woman comes up and says that she's a stripper, she's looked down on. Like, why you got to use your body to make money, right? But in the same breath, you glorify some of the moves that strippers use. Now, in this instance, when we're talking about Miss Shirley, she's actually a part of the boots on the ground dance is popping your hips. So, it really confuses me. You celebrate these dance moves, but you look at where they originated from in a negative light. And that's kind of conflicting to me. And I'm not here to condemn strippers. I'm not here to condemn the parents of Miss Shirley. I just want to clarify that. I'm only stating something that I realize that's going on. Um, and as far as the question, defining growing up too fast is just, it to me, just kids being involved in adult things before they need to be. Most of the time when you talk about kids, there's this innocence about them. And we tend as adults to take that away from them by, these ideas we have of things they should and should not be doing a lot of times. And it's not just the Miss Shirley situation. It's anything. As far as, you know, a kid talking gibberish when they're young. We get frustrated. I need you to speak clearly. I need you to be able to form sentences. Well, I'm 1 or 2 years old. I'm not going to pronounce everything correctly. I'm not going to say everything correctly. So let me grow. Let me learn. Instead of trying to understand them a little bit more, you want them to come up to your level. And as parents, we don't realize that we're doing this. So you have to be real careful with these young kids, like I said earlier, about what you push in their direction. I understand that, women may think some mannerisms that little girls have at a young age that resemble mannerisms of grown women may be cute, but you forget the negative part of that. You never know who's watching your child. You never know who's viewing your child. and you don't know what type of harm you're putting them in by some of these things. It's cool, when kids do things versus when adult things, it's always gonna be cute. Whether they're singing, whether they're dancing, whether they're talking, it's always gonna come off cute. But there's a fine line of being cute versus being disrespectful and putting your kids in harm's way. And I think, you know, as parents, we have to kind of be aware of these things. Um, and that's my take on it.
All
What do you
right.
want to say, Sean?
Yeah, I say mine is like if they, like I say, allowing them to do things that are not age appropriate for them. If you think it's comical as a parent to allow your kid to sip a little wine or a little beer, um, if you think it's cute to allow them to wear makeup, or do things that you yourself would consider something that you as an adult would do. That's that, and allowing them to do that and experience that. That's a situation where you're presenting a, a a element of adulthood that they're not really ready for.
Yeah, and I don't want to just be picking on Miss Shirley. I want to say this too. There have been in the past young, little young boys on social media platforms acting like they grown with their shirt off, their pants sagging, using cuss words, calling women bees, and it's been perceived as being cute. It's not cute. It's not. I think we have, and I've said this on previous shows, we've taken negative things and given them a positive light, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as the kids, um, we need to be careful with that. We need to be careful because they're following what we do, and when they start acting a certain way, you never know how that's going to affect them long term. Um,
Yeah.
Moving on to the next question: is this a recent trend or has this always existed?
I would say this ain't a recent trend. I mean, a lot of people, uh, it just feel like it's always been there. It's just that since twerking been out, we can call on Miss Shirley, but it's a lot of young girls, 2 years old and up, mimicking people on TV, their older siblings or whatever, and people think it's cute. And like I say, some things to me are just not cute. I don't parade them on doing something. I mean, you're not parading them on like we used to, good education or being a businessman or doing something productive in life. But the lowest thing you could do is commend a child or a young girl twerking. That's possible for a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 year old child. I mean, this is what we really came down to. This is where eloquence of blackness done changed to. That we go to the bottom of the stool for our children now, and the ratchet and the lowest thing you could do is to just twerking and do shaking your hip tight dances, and this is what us as black men and black women look at children, and this is cute, and do it, child, do this is the best that you can think of for our leaders, the next generation. And then you turn around and look at news and all these young girls having kids out of, and you don't even know what's going on behind the scenes with them. Just like a girl got tossed in front of the church and because she was underage and she had to confess her problem of being pregnant, but ain't nobody asked who was the father or what situation occurred in that situation. And just too much crazy stuff going on that we are consenting to all this stuff. And this just my view, my opinion. Some people are like, oh, he's hating or whatever. That's you. But I'm looking at the future all times. because I realized where I came from, and I'm not gonna say I was great or good, but I wasn't the worst. But I can tell you this much: I'm looking at some stuff at younger ages going down level lowers. I mean, come on. Wait, we gonna endorse kids at 4 or 5 years old start smoking weed? Oh, that's cute. Now they drinking alcohol at 4, 5. Oh, that's cute. And like I say, what's next? A little girl or on a stripper pole at 5 years old? That's cute. When is this gonna stop? That's all I'm saying. When it's gonna stop?
All
And
right.
I mean, we are grown dudes. You know how I'm just saying how to me how profound it is for somebody my age. I don't care if you're 40 years old. I don't care if you're 30 years old. And it's two 17-year-old girls out there fighting, and you take your stupid phone and record it, and one of them got a knife, and you not even trying to break it up, but will allow the other girl get murdered just to get some stupid views with a camera. If that ain't mentally ill, I don't know what the hell is. And I think I'm in a world with a bunch of mentally ill people. When something violent going on and you got an opportunity to stop it, but you rather record it and watch somebody get murdered live, some little children too fighting.
All right. I'm gonna go to the chat. Roe had put up here, said the average age of mothers are getting younger and younger. Because of that, motherhood is changing. You can't correct and redirect if you've never been corrected or redirected. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, but the only thing I don't agree with, but it's not a real disagreement. It's just the fact that, I mean, it's been young mothers throughout history, man. I mean, it's you're never gonna stop
Yeah.
how young a person is gonna get pregnant. A woman gets pregnant. It's the thing is, you know, how they're being taught, like you said, how they're being corrected and redirected in their bringing up, their upbringing. You know what I mean? It's just it's people. People gonna be more morally responsible for their kids' growth and development. Go ahead,
Yeah,
D.
I don't disagree. There have been young mothers for a while. I mean, me and Chris were in a situation where our mom was young when she had us. I mean, she was in her 20s, but she was still young. The difference is family stepped in. You know, her mom and my dad's mom stepped in to balance the situation. I mean, and they were of age. And when I say age, of age, I think my grandmother might have been in her late 40s, um, early 50s when I was born. Same with my dad's mom. So it was a little different. They raised their kids. They were able to give some type of guidance. It's a little different when you know mom in the teens and grandma in the late 20s or early 30s. It's just a little different. I mean, it is, and you see a lot more of that um, going on. So yeah, it's going to be a different behavior that comes with that. To answer the question, is this a recent trend? No, it's not. Because I can remember growing up and just seeing a lot of things: kids drinking alcohol, kids smoking weed, uh, young men out here selling drugs, providing for their household in middle school. So this isn't a recent trend. This isn't something that just happened. We saw teen pregnancy in middle school. A neighbor of mine that lived behind me. So this isn't something that just started. I just think the community was more vested in making sure that the youth in the neighborhood had morals, and we knew we couldn't act a certain way and be involved in certain things because adults were more vocal about that. So now it's a situation where you can't be too vocal about certain things that you see kids doing because now you worry about your safety. Not only that, parents will attack other adults for trying to correct their kid. And that's another concern. You
But
know,
like,
uh, go ahead, Chris.
no, I was just gonna say like we were saying ain't nothing new. Some of these girls, even when we was in high school, it was always girls getting pregnant, having babies. That was them that time, and still, what I'm looking at, I'm not even looking at that. My mind is going down to girls 11 years old, some turning 12, and situations going on that shouldn't be going on or pregnant. You see what I'm saying? I'm not talking about somebody 16, 17, 18. I'm talking we still talking about kids doing child's innocent, don't understand, not mind mature. I mean, you can give I can like I said, I can give a 15-year-old and they can understand the difference of drinking alcohol, but you give alcohol to a 4-year old, 5-year old, I can see, understand a 15-year-old, 16-year old smoking weed and might understand what they got a better understanding. But a 4, 5, 6-year old, this is stuff that I'm like I'm really on that hard. And I know we can say 15, 16, but I feel like even with decision like little girl, you could be a boy. With little boy, you could be a girl. 4, 5, 6 years old don't really understand, but a 15-year old got a better understanding. Their mind is more developed. They've been around. The data done came in a lot better. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. They seeing stuff. They know how to cut grass. I had asked somebody, okay, a 15-year old can cut grass. Would you allow a 4-year old cut the grass by themselves? Would you don't put in their hand? They don't understand, but a 15-year old do. It's like we looking at somebody in an age that they're not comprehending. And even we've talked about Miss Shirley. Do you really think she understand what she's doing? Is it profound? Because to her, she's too young to understand that. To her, it's just a dance. It's innocent. It's nothing personal. But then I'm looking at how these dudes are reacting. Oh, mama shaking, mama dance, mama, all that old crazy stuff. I'm looking at these dudes hugging, huddling on to her, all strangers, and it's cute to everybody else. And I'm like, man, imagine that's my kid. And I just dude grab my, hey man, but look, don't touch my daughter. And I would, my grandma, don't lay your hands on my child. But oh yeah, like it's some little Miss Woman Shirley, a little girl, a little child. Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Like you said, the one thing about kids is kids like attention, especially positive attention. Meaning, you celebrating them for something. Any child gets excited when you say good job or you're clapping or they feel like they've done something to excite you. They get excited. So I'm with you when you say that she doesn't even realize what's going on. She's just doing it because of the positive feedback that she gets from it. How this affects her long term, I don't know. But do you think we as black people have become so accustomed to entertaining whites that entertaining it has become our way of the new norm?
I think that I mean, yes and no. Yes, because we um, we have a deep like for the attention because it's a way to say, all right, well, if, and I'm not speaking a child, I'm just speaking just us as a people. We just if we feel like we can get our message across, to let people know about our condition, we'll do that because we feel like we got the spotlight on us. You know, um, for as you know, the negative side of it is like, hey, you run the risk of being exploited by people that have been exploiting you ever since they subjugated you. And it's gonna always be that way while we're within this dominant society. Always a need to have you in the lower rung, so you'll be
You,
the
you
minstrel.
know, it's cra-
Go
it's
ahead.
crazy. This little girl has been invited on several different shows. several different platforms. And I mean, Chris brought this up last week. I remember there was a child sensation back in the day called Shirley Temple. Her name was
Mm.
Shirley Temple, and this child is Miss Shirley. And there are some similar things going on. And you remember Shirley Temple would dance and make certain gestures as a grown woman, and she
Sitting
would
in
kiss
grown
men on their
man lap,
cheek and
sitting
sit
in
in their
grown
lap.
man laps, hugging on them, and he got his hands on it. You can watch some of them old black and white on their thighs and all this stuff. And later people are hearing stuff that when she got older, confessing what was going on.
So with that being said, you pay attention. Like history repeats itself. It does, and it's ironic that both go by Shirley. That's
That's all I'm gonna
very
say.
that's that's very ironic. Um, how does growing up too fast affect a child's social development?
I mean,
I mean,
I done
it's
heard. But go
go
ahead,
ahead.
man.
Oh,
I done
it's
heard. Gentlemen saying they did something too fast and they wish they had waited. I done heard people got older, did things. Women did stuff too fast and wish they had waited. And I guess when they get older, they get more protective on their child because they don't want their child to grow up and do certain things they know they was too young to do. Some of them, that's what's called protecting, raising your child to understand. Because, like I say, some at these ages, and I'm not like some people get up here, oh, you got to 10, 11, 12. That's cool. That's cool. They need to know. Talk. I'm talking about somebody don't know really right from wrong. If you tell a 4-year old just shoot, shoot, and they shoot, so they don't see nothing wrong with shooting another little kid. Because if you teach them this, it's normal to them. It's okay. It's okay. They don't understand. I don't care what nobody say. They don't understand. They too young to understand everything. That's why I say I'm real when I see these people say things like it just they're not ready. They're not developed. They're not developed. They just learning. They just learning. They just trying to get a concept. And if we don't let them know some things, young lady. Cause see, we look down when we used to grow up. Tell the young girls, oh, you need to cover your legs up. Put your dress down further. You need to man pull your pants up. But see, we start saying pull your pants up because everybody wear their pants down. Everybody doing everything, so everything is became normalized. And what's going on today, Miss Shirley, we just saying it, and I'm not. I don't like with her. She doing something positive. I don't mind that. But some things that I feel like she's doing that might be grown, it ain't cool. Uh, I'm not saying don't endorse her doing something good, but don't let this child be exploited for doing grown dances because Johnny Gill that little video wasn't appropriate. That was even before that boot stomp. Now she's doing that, and ain't no telling else whatever for views. And other kids are now mimicking her because there's other little kids jumping on video trying to do the same stuff that she's doing because she's getting attention.
all right. I'll say their interactions with adults and peers. You know, like them, like Aletha said, when them, a young kid jumping on somebody's lap and asking for money. Them, alluding to um, certain types of things that they either they may have been exposed to or they just their you know their verbal interactions with adults they may like say curse or say something that is inappropriate that they may not totally understand or they've been exposed to by another adult, so it it creates an imbalance that they as they get older they're not going to understand and they'll continue down that path and you'll get the ones that are maybe like said, teenage pregnancy, maybe go out become a streetwalker, what I'm saying, something like that, because they've been exposed to traumatic situations with adults, um, or just
Well, let's just call it what it is. You saying traumatic situations. You're putting a little girl in a situation where your older men are celebrating what she's doing, right? And you don't know how these older men are looking at her. Now, let's talk about some real situations that we've all been through as young black men growing up. Most of the women that we went to school with, and I'm gonna say high school, I ain't gonna say middle school, but it happened in middle school too, were interested in older men. They were interested in men that were actually out of school versus us. We weren't mature enough for them. We didn't, the way we thought, our thought process wasn't stimulating them in the way they wanted to be stimulated. But so they gravitated to older men. Now this is my thing. So this growing up too fast didn't just happen. Uh, this was going on back then with the black males and the black females.
right.
Now you had some women that dated men around their age because their parents weren't having it. But you had those certain individuals that were in high school with us, they ain't grown men. Let's just call it what it is. So now, if you look at it nowadays, and you putting this uh, young girl in a situation where she's doing adult things, how you think she's going to interact with the boys her age? She's up here and they down here. They want to play with cars and video games, and she twerking. That don't go together. So her interest and their interests are gonna be totally different. But she's growing up a lot faster than they are.
Man.
So of course they're not gonna be on her level. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I'm laughing because I say this all the time. What you just said, I say this with everybody, and everybody heard me say this 100 times. That's why I tripped off R. Kelly because what you just said out your mouth when we was in school, dudes in the shipyard, 25, 26, 27. It was so many R. Kellys, and I told you right now they in churches, deacons. You can yank them out. There's a bunch of R. Kellys out here. That's why I can't. I look at them totally different because when I was in school, I walk around every day in the city and in different places. I see R. Kelly all day long. So it's like me saying what I'm saying is I'm telling you about right there. That young girl shouldn't even be out here because, like you said, when we was in school, facts. When we was in school, 10th grade and all that, guys that had these cars, 25, 26, were picking these girls up every day, had them driving their cars every day. And then nobody see a problem with it. Ain't nobody say nothing. So it's like, that's why I speak out on stuff like this. And if ain't nobody speaking out on this, 9 times out of 10, they was doing it. I can speak out on that. And you can speak out on it, Derek. If you
Oh no,
uncomfortable
I
speaking
mean,
out on it,
no, no,
you
no. I totally agree. That's why I brought it up. I totally agree. So this isn't something that just happened.
yeah,
But
it
once
ain't.
again,
No,
you always talk about the gap between men and women at a young age, and then you see some men and women that are able to be on the same page at a young age, and you wonder what's the difference. The difference is some of these young girls or even some of these young boys are growing up too fast. So when you interact with somebody your age, they're not gonna be on your level. The interest that you have ain't gonna be the same interest they have, and you hear it all the time. Oh, he not mature enough for me, or she, oh she, yeah, I can't deal with her. She too slow for me, and you hear it all the time, and it's
right.
because some of these kids are put in a situation where they privy information too early, and they're growing up too fast. That's just what it is. So then you have this situation where they're interested in older women or older men, because you hear it from men too, where they like older women, and
I
or young
would
boys
say
where
that.
they
Yep.
prefer or older lady, because it happens to boys too, not just women. It happens to
Exactly.
boys too, where you got boys dating their teachers, impregnating their teachers. So it happens. It happens there too. Let's just keep it a buck.
Yeah,
Let's
I
keep it a
was
buck.
yeah.
I was gonna bring
And
around
you
that
wonder
one though.
why this is happening. But I guarantee if you look back at how they grew up, something took place to make them grow up a little faster, mature a little faster than they should have.
Um, I'll say this as well. If we talking about boys, it's sometimes it comes from the desire to conquer something that you feel like is out of reach. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's that. And then for the younger women, it's like if you getting that attention from that guy who giving you that money, or you know what I'm saying, like Chris said, letting you drive his car, and just treating you on a level where you may not have been treated like that by your father. You know, that is gonna be something that draws,
But
a
Shine,
child.
who teaches kids about money? Why is money important to a 3 and 4 year old child? Why is that
Well,
important?
I'm not singling that out for them. I'm talking. I when I say when I look at this when we talking, I look at it from the range of, like you saying, from a young teenager that's in high school up down to that 2 3 year old child, because all of them are kids. You know what I'm saying? When you are old enough to make your own decisions about life, and how it impacts you as a person, then you grown. But if you don't know, if you just saying, "Oh, well, I just did it," or "It just happened," you don't know. You truly don't know about life. Okay, so all right, we
Yeah.
stuck there.
Well, that's
Well,
true. Let me ask you this: what are the psychological effects of this experience?
Oh, that's right. Trauma. You know what I'm saying? Trauma that stems into your adulthood, and it affects your relationships. Like I was saying, that young person that they don't know how to develop healthy relationships with their peers, people around the same age as them. They just they either they lash out, they don't open up, or show their feelings. They bottle them up. They keep they still have some may have a childlike mindset, because they retreat back to that childhood that they had, and they from that point of time where the trauma occurred to them. So they're trying to retreat into that place that they feel safer. You know, I feel like that is just one of the things that affect people as they get older, the trauma.
I mean, yeah, like you said, the trauma. I mean, you could take on when you learn about Richard Pryor, and he tells his story about him growing up in a whole house and stuff, and doing stuff, and watching people do drugs, and he started doing drugs and comedy and stuff, and you see the effect it had on him. And he made jokes about it, but he was one of the funniest mans in comedy. He used his pain and the things he had and made it funny. He always could talk about himself and what he did and went through and make it hilarious. It's a lot of people that got certain trauma. You don't understand why some people might do drugs. You might not understand why some people feel a certain way or depressed. You might not feel understand because you got to realize we, and I feel like when I say we as people, me myself particularly, I want the culture to come back with a village raised and guard and protect the women, the village, and the children. We at a stage right now, this thing's going on. You got to look at a child might get touched. You don't know how that trauma might grow them up. While a young girl being touched in the wrong way. She thinks that's a way, and somebody leaving money. Then she's out here at a young age selling her body because something happened to her too fast, too soon, that shouldn't have never happened by some perverted man that messed this child life up. And then she going on the wrong path. Everybody can't mentally handle situations. We all handle situations
Facts,
different.
facts, facts.
Some things shouldn't be going on. So that's why I speak the way I speak. I speak because I feel like, if I see something wrong, call it out. Most people turn a blind eye. And then when the neighborhood all messed up and the kid, them kids out of control. Well, before the kids got out of control, you seen them doing stupid stuff at a young age. Why you ain't say something then? Why wait till now they 14 and now you know they're gonna bang back? You don't want to. They all because we allowed it to get out of control. We allowed it
Yeah,
because a lot of people shut their mouth and turned a blind eye on the situation. Now they're grown enough to grab things that hurt, really, really hurt people. And now it's too late to speak up on it. It's too late to stop it. And even if you don't start now, it's going to be 10 times worse in the next couple of years.
I'm gonna say this too. Also, a psychological effect can come from the peers of these individuals. And I'm just gonna take Miss Shirley for example. You never know how later on in life, when she goes through middle school and high school, how her peers are gonna look at her. They can look at her in a negative light, and she can be called names and be judged based on things that she did at a younger age. You know, and kids can be harsh, especially if she's out here sitting in men's laps and uh, put in a situation where she's doing certain things when she's dancing that an adult like. She can be labeled, and she can carry that label all the way through high school, and that can be traumatizing on the child also. So you just have to be careful. You have to be careful about these things because you don't know how it's going to affect your child later in life. How people are going to view your child. How society is going to view your child. And to think about it, on social media platforms, people can be harsh. They can be very harsh and have negative comments. And adults can't even take it. So if an adult can't deal with those comments, what makes you think a child can deal with that?
Mm.
You know, uh, that's something that we have to think about. What I would like to pose: what role can parents, educators, and the community members play in supporting these kids' development?
I know this is far from where it used to be, but continuing the tradition of the village mentality, to look out for one another, hold each other responsible for our children's growth and development, and just like y'all said, you know, get rid of that. Nobody can teach my child something. Nobody can tell my child something. Because we already know that. I know, as parents, we're all very protective of our kids, and want them to grow up the best way possible. But come on now. Most time, average person is trying to do what they can to tell a kid, to do the right thing instead of saying, "Oh yeah, well, I'm trying to, do something negative." You like Chris said, you got those perverted people that know that doing something like embracing a child that's not theirs. That's that. You don't supposed to do that. You just you're supposed to talk to that child and tell that child what the right thing to do so that when they grow up, they can say, I had someone to really give me great instruction as I was coming up so that I was able to do the right thing because I learned.
That's a tough one. Because we're allowed sometimes the way society is. Even when people do speak up to call something out wrong, These parents nowadays get offended and want to fight the person that's trying to at least tell a child right from wrong. And a lot of these new parents today that's young, don't tell my child nothing. Don't correct my child. And it's like we in a time now, like yeah, it's just crazy. Uh, what we should be doing, that's you know what we should be doing. Everybody know right from wrong. Some people don't even like when somebody tell them they doing something wrong. Some people don't like because they get in their emotions, they get in their feelings when somebody just trying to tell you something real, and they just want you to. And sometimes somebody telling you something real is because they want to see you do good. They don't want to see you dead. They don't want to see you in jail. They just trying to help you, maybe just trying to get yourself together. Because sometimes as older people, we see ourselves in some of the young people we might speak to. We saw the errors that we did, and we see the same route they taking, and we just trying to get them a little wisdom so they don't make the same mistakes. But even when we do that, some of these people ain't trying to hear what we hear. It's no different than a Cream song, but they ain't trying to hear what I'm kicking in his ear. It's like that's real. They ain't trying to hear it. And like I said, my dad used to try to tell me stuff, but I looked at man, that's your time and this is my time. And everything he said was true. It happened just like he said. You ain't got to be a Nostradamus. There ain't nothing different. The same thing happened. The same activities. It's just now the ages are getting younger, and the same crazy stuff that we seen that was going on has been going on. We got the. It's like we got to be the gods of everything to guard these children because some people just don't understand it. I'm not trying to take over this person's problem, trying to be like, their parents or you can't tell my child. I'm just saying, look, if something ain't right, I just want to share, look, that don't look right. You don't that man over there, that's a stranger. Why is he looking all at your daughter all crazy and want to keep talking to her, holding her hand and hugging on her and all this and kissing on her neck? That ain't cute. And I might say something if I'm there. Yeah, yo, man, leave that child alone. But you don't understand. These are sick times and sick people. It's sick times, sick people, and a lot of things going on. All we need to do is, as a village, people need to stand up. Stop being scared to stand up. I mean, and if you feel believe in God, God ain't give you the spirit of fear. That's why I said I feel like you can't say you know God and you scared to death all the time. It's nothing to fear. If that spirit of God is in you, ain't no fear should be in you. I mean, that's how I look at life. But like when it comes to these kids, they innocent. Let's guard and protect these children as women and as grown men. Let's respect and show them how that these certain things they shouldn't do at a certain age. It's time when they're old enough to understand. But if you're looking at somebody 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, come on, cut it out, cut it out. It ain't cute. It ain't all this. What we trying to say it is. We got to be wise and we got to be smart in these days and times.
And let me say this for closing. Let me just say this. Mentoring, not just the kids, the parents. You have family members that tend to not want to deal with the situation based off of the parents' reaction. But we have to be strong enough to have difficult conversations, especially within the families. If you see something going on, you never know. That might save that child's life. It might change their life. You should say something. You gotta have these difficult conversations, even though you don't feel like, well, I don't want to hear her mouth, or I don't want to deal with the dad. It's not just about the dad and the mom. It's about that child. We have to have these conversations as a family. Sometimes these conversations have to be had. Raymond, you wanted to add something?
I mean, I just wanted to share Dion's comment, and this should be thought of by everybody. As long as children can't be corrected by adults, we're in trouble.
Powerful statement, Dion. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I want to say thank you for everybody that watched the show today. Gentlemen, great job as always. You know what I'm going to leave you with. You know what it is. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Get established.
Thank you. This has been
the Get Established Show live. Please join us on all social platforms: Facebook, Twitter, X, YouTube, of course. Excuse me, the Gram, and y'all know this. Look, thank you for joining us. For the fellas here, myself, and the pushing producer. Peace.